People are saying that Angelina's saying she has one. It's the best pump. Yeah, we have so many moms using it now and just, you know, loving it. Just love it.
So many.
So many.
All my friends do. So, all right. So the first question, and we're going to do some that you guys left. Here are my beat up old iPhone case. And then I'm actually going to go through and pull some live. So make sure you're leaving questions and paying attention, and then I'm going to start scrolling and grab some. So Robin has a question. I would like to breastfeed our new baby. My wife is pregnant and cannot because she had a double mastectomy. I have an almost 4-year-old son who I exclusively breastfed, and can still kind of squeeze milk out of my nipples, kind of weird. Is it still possible for me to do that? If I take some hormones, my doc said that I could, but that was a while ago.
This is such a great question. I don't know how much this has really come up for us, but it really covers a couple different things. One is to the idea that moms can breastfeed other people's babies. So even though you've not given birth to the baby, whether it's an adopted child or it's your partner that's giving birth, like in this situation, or even if it's a friend who may have a mastectomy or have a reason why they can't breastfeed and you want to pump and provide breast milk or donate breast milk. Or it could also be that you started breastfeeding and you stopped and you decided you want to go back to it. Those terms are called induced lactation or relactation. And, you know, in the case of induced lactation, when you're talking about someone who may have adopted a baby, or like in this situation where she's not actually the one giving birth, her partner is, yes, it's very possible to be able to breastfeed and induce the milk and bring in the breast milk, even though you're not giving birth. If you've already had a baby the way Robin has, and she has even can still express a little bit of milk, which is, by the way, not weird. It actually is normal for that to keep happening. It makes it a little bit easier because the body has kind of been through that, and it kind of knows, and there's some memory left there, and the glands are developed, and it's actually easier to start. But even if you've never done it, with hormones and medications or herbal supplements and pumping, and that's really important, that we need to do stimulation to the breast beforehand to get that milk going. My suggestion for Robin would be that, you know, the baby's 6 weeks out, her wife's due in like 6 weeks. So she has a little bit of time. If we had a little more time, it would have even been better. But even with 6 weeks, my suggestion would be to start double pumping every 2 to 3 hours right now, around the clock. You want to start that stimulation to the breast, even if you're not getting anything out in the beginning, and I wouldn't even expect much to come out, but stimulating the breast will start to stimulate those hormones like oxytocin, prolactin to start increasing, so that hopefully she'll have a milk supply by the time the baby's actually born. That being said, if you're there's all different types of regimens when it comes to induced lactation, and some of it involves going on birth control pills to raise up those estrogen and progesterone levels to a certain point, and then quickly coming off of them while you do other medications that can stimulate the prolactin to increase. All of this, you know, is a way to simulate what the body's doing when it's pregnant, and then when you deliver, and try to kind of mimic that same thing. There are medications that you can use to increase prolactin levels and really help your milk supply, whether you're inducing lactation, relactating, or if you're just struggling with a low milk supply and you're breastfeeding. Couple medications, two that I can think of. One is called Reglan. The other one is called domperidone. One of them is approved by the FDA in the United States. This is very interesting and a little bit political, if you ask me. One is approved in the United States, Reglan. They're both gastrointestinal medications, so they're not used for this, but it has a side effect of increasing milk supply. And so one of them is approved. The other one is not, the domperidone. For very odd reasons of, 2000, I don't know how long ago it was, 2004, 2006, there was like one study done or one incident where a mom or somebody was given large doses, in doses you would never take for this particular situation, IV, and had a cardiac issue and died. Okay, so again, and with every drug, you're going to see in doses that you would never take possible side effects. The use of this medication, though, however, over the years in regular doses that moms would use has never shown side effects like that. So my recommendation, and it is over the counter and prescribed regularly everywhere but here.
Mm-hmm.
So Canada, Australia, New Zealand, the UK, you can get this medication for this reason. You can get over the counter in Mexico and other countries where it is just a regular, safe medication. So it's one thing to consider, looking into that, talking to your physician as always, and your lactation consultant. And, of course, obviously, if you have any cardiac issues, you want to bring all that up. But if you're just healthy, normal, no history, maybe a consideration. The reason why we like that one versus the Reglan is that it doesn't cross the blood-brain barrier. And so the Reglan may have more risk of depression. And so with a mom that's postpartum, it's the last thing we want to do is increase their risk of depression. So domperidone doesn't cross that barrier and doesn't do the same thing. So those are medications, just to talk a little bit about that, and they can be used quite effectively. I have seen that, I've seen some amazing results, and I'm seeing someone Breeze just commented and said domperidone was a lifesaver with her first baby. Reglan didn't work. And so, it's one of those things where you need to find the right person to guide you on this and support you, because when something works, and it can really mean we're talking about breast milk here, which is about health as well. And so what are the risks of not providing breast milk, to the baby? There are risks there too. So, it's very doable. I think the best answer here, that was a long answer because I wanted to talk a little bit about that, but the best thing about that is to know that if you're adopting or your partner's delivering and you're going to be breastfeeding, or you both want to breastfeed the baby, which is quite often the case too, you can do it.
Yeah. My first experience with someone that was inducing lactation, because I had no idea it was possible at all, was back when I worked at Bye Bye Baby. And there was a couple, a heterosexual couple, and they were adopting, and she had induced lactation. And I was like, that's a thing. I had no idea.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And so I just found it fascinating. So I always think it's really interesting to talk about it. And then a few years ago, back when I still lived in New York, there was actually a huge story on the news about it. And I thought that was so wonderful, even though it's like the local New York news channel, just getting information out there about the fact that it can be done.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people have no clue. I had no idea.
Well, and it's the thing that because they don't know, they don't even get the chance to try. And that doesn't mean that every mom who adopts is going to be able to establish a full milk supply, because not everyone can with this. Yeah. But any little bit of breast milk, and we talk about this all the time, any little bit of breast milk is better than none. And if you can do it and you want to do it and you have that desire, you should try, because even if you can give some breast milk and you had to combination feed and do some formula, it's still got all the value. So I say go for it.
Yeah. It's like, when I first met you, one of the things that stuck out, and I always tell people this, is like you said, my job as a lactation consultant is to tell people what to do with their milk. It's not like you have to breastfeed or this and this and this. And you and I both operate. You don't have to exclusively breastfeed for X amount of time to be a successful breastfeeder.
That's correct. So, any breastfeeding. And it's really a mom's choice to do whatever feels comfortable for her, really, But the thing that I want to say about that is, and this is why I do what I do, Jamie, it's a mom's choice to make any choice she wants. But I don't believe that you can make a real choice without real knowledge. So if you don't have all the facts and you don't have all the information, you're getting a lot of misinformation, which is quite often the case, you can't really make a real choice. But when someone's really educated and they're getting all the information and they're getting the right support and they make that choice for themselves, whether to do it or not do it, I support them 100%.
Yeah. It's just education based. And that's, another thing that I think is so good about Evenflo. It is the only pump I know of that comes with actual education included with it, instead of just like, here's your motor and some phalanges, like, see ya. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There's actually a couple things about like work and pump supply.
Mm-hmm.
Some people just want, how can I keep up my supply while I'm at work? Some people want to know, like, during the day, when is the best time to pump to start to kind of add this milk to your stash?
Yeah, Heather just asked that question live here. Maybe you could just read her question. It'll cover everybody else's.
Let me see here, because I have to get out of my Google Doc. So hold on.
Here, I could pop it up on the screen. How about that?
Oh, that's perfect. Heather, I went back to work, and 4 weeks into pumping, my period showed up. My supply has way dropped. I teach elementary school, so getting extra pumping session in is extremely challenging. Any other tips on increasing supply?
Yeah, so this kind of covers going back to work and a little bit about what we just discussed, which is, what can you use to increase supply? Let me just answer Heather's question. So going back to work can be difficult anyway, because you can, if you're struggling to get those pumping sessions in, that is probably the biggest reason of why your supply may be dropping. No matter what we take, whether it's medication, herbal supplements, staying hydrated, all these good things that we hear about increasing supply, if you're not extracting and expressing milk out of the breast consistently and frequently, you are going to see a decrease. Why? Breast milk is supply and demand. So if you're not demanding the milk out, you're not going to have the supply. And it's not your body malfunctioning. It's actually functioning. It's actually doing exactly what you're telling it to do. And so I would say that number one is you have to find a way, if you want to maintain. Some people, let's say this, some people can just pump or feed like when they're home, in the morning, in the night, during the night, and then when they're at work, they can do whatever, not pump the whole time, supplement. Some people supplement with formula during the day and just maintain their supply when home. That doesn't work for everyone. So some people, if they go long stretches during the day, they may not maintain a good enough supply. So I would say that really try to find a way to get some pumping sessions in, even if it's every 3 or 4 hours while you're at work, once or twice while you're there. It doesn't have to take too long. And I think that's where we think that it has to be this big process, when really, if you could even pump for 5 or 10 minutes and get good at pumping, and make sure you have a good pump that's getting the milk out, that your flanges are fitting well, that you know how to get multiple letdowns of milk, which I go over all the time in my 3-stage pumping method. If you can get the milk out quickly, you'll be able to maintain your supply better. If you got your period back, your body's getting signals possibly that the baby's older, you may not be pumping as much or feeding as much during the night. There are herbs that you can try too that will also increase milk supply, without going into the detail of every single one. There's fenugreek, there's moringa, there's a whole bunch of different ones that you can try out. I would actually consult with a lactation consultant in order to do that, because some of those herbs will interact with certain, medical conditions, whether it could lower blood sugars, it can interfere. And so I just want you to do that safely and not give you advice like, go take this right now. But there are some good herbs that really do work well. And I find that moms who get their period back sooner than they want to while they're breastfeeding, because you'll always see a little bit of a drop in supply, the galactagogues, which is what they're called, they're the herbs that increase supply, can really be beneficial. But more pumping. And also one more thing, when you're going back to work, there's something called reverse cycling. And that is where the baby can start feeding or being at the breast more during the night. Not always so convenient because you're trying to sleep, but if you can find a way to feed the baby more at night and get more of that feeding in during the night and early morning hours, that will be a big boost to your milk supply. And of course, give the baby milk now and not need as much when you're gone.
I also just want to thank her for being an elementary school teacher.
Absolutely.
Thank you for doing the work.
Yeah.
This is interesting. We have two interesting questions. I will start with Amanda's. How can I stay awake while nursing in the middle of the night? I keep dozing off.
What's the middle of the night? Of course you're dozing off. Mm-hmm. Two things working against you. It's dark, you're tired, and breast milk makes you even more sleepy. Breastfeeding makes you even more sleepy. So you got everything working against you there. How can you not doze off? You know, this question is one that, this is the way I answer it, because of course the right answer is to say, you know, stay awake, don't fall asleep with the baby in the bed, don't sleep with the baby, make sure that, you know, you've got the baby separate and all those other things, and don't fall asleep. Okay, well, that's really easy to say. But moms who are trying not to fall asleep aren't doing it on purpose to fall asleep. It's just happening. So my best recommendation is this. Make sure that the bed that you're in, where you're falling asleep with the baby, is set up in a safe way to fall asleep with the baby. That doesn't mean you're trying to do it or that's your plan unless you decide to. But even if you have a baby that's sleeping in a co-sleeper next to you or a bassinet next to you, inevitably you will fall asleep at some point. And my big concern is the baby safe when that happens? Did you get rid of all the loose bedding? Did you move the pillows away? Did you have a bed environment that's conducive for a baby to be sleeping with you? Do you have loose clothing on? Did you tie your hair back? There's ways to make the environment way safer so that when and if, and it probably will at some point happen, that the baby's safe. You know, just going out onto the couch or the sofa, that's where accidents really do happen, where moms fall asleep, you know, because they think, all right, I'll just get up and go sit on the couch, and then they fall asleep and babies suffocate in couches. And so it's not really, that's not the answer I would give you. You know, the answer is be safe. Set it up so if you do, it'll be okay, because it's going to happen. And in many ways, it's a natural thing that happens.
There you go.
There's my answer. You know, and maybe just, you know, what I always say too is, like, you know, during the day, if you can nap a little bit and do some laid back nursing where you kind of lean back, let the baby lay on top of you. It's a good time where maybe a partner or your mom or your friend can kind of keep an eye on you. Go ahead and doze, lay down, fall asleep with the baby, and let somebody just keep an eye on you so that you can get some sleep. Because having a baby is tiring and you're just not going to sleep a lot. You know, babies wake frequently and they want to and they have to, and it's what's normal for them.
And this is a very, very good segue into, you know, the whole idea of like babies eat frequently, wake frequently, they sleep a lot. Like, it's very sporadic in the beginning. Joan has a question. I need your advice. Is there something I'm doing wrong? My daughter will be 3 months and 2 days, yet she still eats 2 ounces per feed, sometimes 1 ounce every 2 to 3 hours. Since birth, she has never exceeded 22 ounces a day. I have scheduled an appointment to see her pediatrician today. Is there something I can do to help her take breast milk? Thanks in advance.
Well, it's interesting. I wonder, she must be exclusively pumping if she knows exactly how many ounces her baby's eating in a 24-hour period. And if that's the case, and she's trying to get the baby to eat more than the baby actually wants, you know, everything, when it comes to breast milk, it's a guideline. You know, it's a guideline. We talk about somewhere between 24, 26 ounces in 24 hours. But if it's a little bit less, my next question to her would be, how's your baby growing? You know, we can't always just look at the ounces. How's the baby peeing? Is the baby hydrated? Is the baby growing? Even if it's slow, but good for the baby, like hitting all their developmental milestones and doing well, then I'm not really sure that 22 ounces is actually a bad thing. I would need to, you know, and I am assuming that everything else is fine, or she probably would have mentioned it in the question, because it seems like that's her only concern. I like for moms to really take their eyes off of the numbers. Really, the numbers about, the quantifying the number of ounces of breast milk, the quantifying of like, how many hours is the baby, going between feedings, quantifying how long is the baby staying at the breast. All those numbers don't really matter that much. And the reason why is every baby's different and they go through cycles and they change from day to day and week to week and month to month. And, think about it this way. If one mom has breast milk that's more watery and lower calorie content per ounce, and she has ice cream coming out of her breast, I mean, like just heavy fat content and, it's the truth. Some moms make heavy cream, it's just like really fatty milk. And if that's the case, I'm kidding, right? If that's
I just get the giggle and then I go off the rails.
Did you just get like an image of like a soft serve? Like
I actually did. I actually imagined the breast milk coming out in like a spiral, like.
And it can be really creamy, thick, fatty milk, very high in calorie. And you'll see those babies because they're the ones that are gaining like 5 pounds in a month. And you're like, how is this even possible? Some people just make really high fat content milk. And it's not something that you can change. It's not like, oh, if I eat more fat, then my milk's going to be fattier. It's not like that. It has to do with your breasts, your milk composition, your breast capacity, all those things take into account. It's really just, it's genetic. And so you can't change that. It just means that some babies are going to need to take in more. Some need to take in less. Some need to eat more frequently. Some need to eat less frequently. And comparing yourself or reading some number that someone gave you, like, you read something somewhere, it has to be that amount. It's a little too precise for me.
I'm still stuck with breast milk.
See, Ashley's saying I have ice cream boobs.
Hearts. You know what? I also I didn't just imagine it as regular soft serve. Like it fully came out as like chocolate vanilla swirl. Because that's my favorite. So we've gone off the rails today. There it is.
Hey, you know what? Can we go over the pump for a moment?
Yeah. I was going to bring that up right now, actually.
Perfect. We're on the same page.
So again, by clicking the link and signing up, you are entered to win the Evenflo Advanced Double Electric Pump, and it's the new Hush version, which is quieter. But we're going to go over kind of like the pump checklist right now and what you need to look for. And for those of you who have been here for these prior, if you want to just comment with features that are important, whatever, just to help get the information out there and help that Facebook algorithm, go for it. So let's go over this really quick.
Awesome. Do you want to talk about it or do we want to show a video? Either one.
That's up to you. We can talk about it.
Let's talk about it. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, when we first started talking about breast pumps, and like I said, when I was working with Evenflo to help design the pump, Jamie's going to be Vanna here.
Sure am.
You were Vanna. There's always the questions of like, what are the most important features to be looking for? And I think when we started talking about this a few years ago, Jamie, there was a lot less information knowledge about these features. And now I see the conversation has kind of taken off, and I'm pretty happy to know that moms know what to look for when it comes to your breast pump.
Yeah, I've seen a definite change because I always talk about this pump at Gearapalooza, and I always ask the very first question, how many of you here know the difference between an open versus a closed system? And I've seen a huge uptick now with people who actually know the difference. And that's really, really great.
Yep. Hey, listen, I think from all of our conversations, the amount of times that we have repeated this, we have changed the conversation. And I'm happy to see that because these features are ones that really make the difference. They're the functionality features. They're the ones that are going to make the difference to really have your pump work for you and get the milk out. And really, what is a pump there to do? It's to protect your supply and keep your keep your supply going. It's to protect your milk. And so that's the number one thing. So let's talk. There are 4 features.
Yep.
And I'm seeing them post them here. So we've got people who know what they're talking about. Features that make your pump function better. One is adjustable speed and suction, independent speed and suction controls on the pump that allow you to customize it yourself. And this is to be able to get multiple letdowns of milk. It's not a button that does it for you. It doesn't have preset numbers that will only function in a certain way. Not everybody needs the same speed and suction each time or will let down to that number. So it's really important to be able to have those controls, and the pump has that. So that's perfect. And when I talk about my 3-stage pumping method, that's essential for that method to be able to get those multiple letdowns. Second feature is the different flange sizes. So multiple flange sizes. And that's the part that Jamie's pointing to. It's the part that goes up against your breast. And the hole has different sizes. When this pump comes with 3 different sizes included in the box, because it's not something you can measure. You have to try them out to really get the right fit. I know there's all kinds of things out there that attempt to have a good measurement, but it really is more than just the size of your nipple. It has to do with elasticity of the breast. It has to do with the size of the nipple. And also the type of flange can make the difference. And I don't think we've actually talked about this, but the type of flange can make the difference in what size flange you need. This flange is different than any other one that I've seen out there. Even though there's different flange sizes out there, it's that soft silicone insert. And everyone thinks, okay, well, this is all for comfort. And it is. It's super comfortable, and it causes that little bit of an air cushion so that it's very comfortable against the breast instead of the hard plastic. But it also does something else. When the breast tissue is more elastic, and that tends to happen, as you keep going on with pumping, it prevents the whole breast from being sucked into the hole. And so often I'll see moms talking about, and I think it was actually one of our questions, talking about the idea that she keeps going smaller and smaller with the flange, and it's still not working. She can't get milk out. A lot of that has to do with, because the breast is a certain consistency, it keeps pulling more into the hole, even though she's using the right size flange. Mm-hmm. And so if that's the case for you, the silicone is a little sticky on the outside here, smooth on the inside, so the nipple moves in and out. But this stickiness holds the breast in place and just pulls on the nipple, which I love. And with the hard plastic flanges, you just don't get the same effect.
No. And it is interesting. And if you ever go to an event where Evenflo is there, be it a Girapalooza or any of the baby show series or anything like that, go feel the inside of these, because it is a very different texture change in the silicone. Mm-hmm. And it is almost like a velvety silicone in there.
Yep. It's
really interesting.
It's texture, because this is the part you don't want to stick. So it's very slippery. Mm-hmm. That's not going to stick. But this part you actually do want to stick to keep the breast tissue in place and create a nice seal so that there's no air leaking around, and the milk doesn't start coming out the sides or underneath.
I also would just like to say, I certainly was not expecting to do this today, but how many of you woke up this morning and thought to yourself, I'm going to watch Jamie stick his finger in a phalange on Facebook?
I did.
It's just how we operate here.
I knew that was going to happen.
So
yeah, see, Heather's saying here in the chat, I'm having that problem 4 months in for sure. So something we haven't really discussed about how, if you're having that issue and you keep going to a different size thinking, why can't I get this to work? Usually it's because the flange is a hard plastic and it's sucking too much in. So going to, going with the soft silicone. Another feature is the closed system. And I'm having trouble with your feed there, Jamie.
With mine?
Yeah, I think it's just breaking up a little bit. You're good. You're good. Go ahead.
Okay. This is closed system.
Yes, closed system.
There's a little diaphragm in here that keeps the milk from leaking and backing up into this tube. But this keeps milk going down, and nothing can actually get up in here at all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you know, there are many different types of pumps. Some that are still out there for a lot of money that are open systems, and that milk can get into the tubing. It can grow mold and bacteria and viruses, and you just got to be really careful and diligent about cleaning those tubes per the manufacturer's suggestions, or replacing them if they do get moldy, which they do. And then there's other pumps that are claimed to be closed system pumps, but you'll see that condensation builds on the other side of the tubing, which it shouldn't. That means something's leaking, something's splashing, there's moisture getting to the other side, and we don't want any of that. And then still there's others that claim to be closed system pumps, but they're not closed here where we need it at the point of the flange. They're closed here at the point of the pump. So yes, it's protecting your pump motor, which is a good thing, but it's still not keeping those tubes clean.
Yeah. And also that also helps the overall design of this pump when you take into account the closed system and the actual angle of the flange. And this is something we don't always bring up on these, but because the flange is angled, a lot of pumps, the flange sticks just straight out. So you have to lean while you pump, which is not comfortable on your back at all. But that also is how you prevent the backup and the dribble down. Yeah. And because this is angled, you can actually sit up properly. You can hook them in a pumping bra or whatever. It's much better on your back, but it also keeps gravity is keeping that milk going down. Milk doesn't travel uphill.
Yep. It's one of those features that like you wouldn't really know to look for it until you were using it. And you're like, you know, on another pump that's just got straight flanges, you're like, do I really need to lean over this whole time? And yeah, you usually do, because that backflow just keeps happening. So the way they're angled, it is good. And yeah, and so anybody who's using this pump goes, yes, absolutely. I know that back and that back pain when you're not able to sit straight up. You're doing it for a while.
My back has been so bad lately because I've been slammed with like work catch up and stuff because of travel and the move. And so I've been doing a lot of work on my couch, and I have caught myself so bad doing so much work on my phone bent over, or like on my laptop bent over my coffee table instead of actually sitting at my desk. Yeah. And posture makes such a big difference. And I was in a heap of pain yesterday because of it.
Oh yeah. You do that for a few hours, it can really hurt you. It can really hurt you. Oh, and the last feature, this pump takes batteries. So you can put batteries, AA batteries, right into the breast pump itself. That's a huge feature. And, you know, that's included in our functionality conversation, because if you are not near an outlet, you are not going to be able to use your breast pump, and then you're going to start delaying those pumping sessions or skipping them. So I would say 100% make sure that you get a pump with a battery that's, you know, able to just put those nice AA's, get good quality AA's. Don't put the cheap ones in. Yeah. Really.
And for example, right now, you know, we have this horrible storm on the East Coast with Florence.
Yeah.
And, you know, if you're in a situation like that, where you may not have electricity for a bit, that's really going to affect pumping. So by having a pump that you can put batteries in, that's a huge thing.
You never know. Like, you want to be prepared for any of it. And they're asking, do you have to use the batteries? No, you can plug it in. It comes with a regular AC adapter. You can plug into the wall, or you can put the batteries in and just have them there, or have some extras in your bag so that if you ever need them, if you ever find the need, you have it with you. So yeah, you can do either one, which is great.
You know what I learned recently, and I would just like to pass this information along to everyone, is just like Jamie's general trivia that just gets stuck in his head, because it happened to me personally, and I caught it before it went awful. So I had some batteries and I threw them in my pocket, because sometimes you just throw batteries in your pocket. And I'm like walking around my apartment like it's not a big deal. And this heat started to happen in my leg, something terrible.
Oh.
I didn't realize I had a couple coins in my pocket,
Oh.
and a couple of them were pennies. So if you have any kind of pennies in your pocket or coins at all, don't put batteries in there. You can put batteries in your pocket if your pocket is empty, because what that did, it connected the anodes, or whatever they're called, the copper.
Yeah.
I caught that battery right before it exploded.
Oh my God.
And if it had exploded, it had swollen up. The casing of the battery had ruptured. The ends of them had ballooned up, and it was this close from exploding in my leg. And that wouldn't have felt good with that battery acid. So I'm very fortunate. Don't put batteries in your pocket if there are coins.
That's a good tip, Jamie. That's pretty scary. Or even in your purse. Or even in your purse. Yeah.
Keep your batteries in a place where they do not have the ability to touch any other kind of copper or metal or whatever. It was scary, scary, scary. They were hot. It was so hot. I was like, oh, what's going on? And I pulled them out, and they were swollen. Like, it was bizarre.
Oh my God, that's crazy. That's scary. Carrie's asking, does the come with a carrier bag? Yeah, the pump comes, there's two different versions of the pump. One is the basic and one is the deluxe. Most of you can get the deluxe through insurance too, so that's great as well. The deluxe will come with the pump, 3 flanges, the bag, the cooler, the extra storage containers, so you get everything. The basic too also comes with all size flanges as well. So regardless of which one you get, you still get the most functional features. It's just the extra accessories that come with the deluxe model. And I wanted to mention one other feature on this too, and that's
I'll also be right back because I forgot to grab something.
Okay, go ahead. The other feature that I would just call out here too, because it's really nice, and again, this is not functionality. I guess it could be if you spill the milk, but it is really about convenience and, you know, portability. The pump is nice and small. And so you do want, and I'm getting pixelated here. I can see it's running a little odd. But the pump is small and it's really lightweight. And I think that's really important, whether you're pumping at home, because I used to pump, when I would pump it, a lot of times it would be during the night, and I'd keep the pump, you know, on my night table. And so pumping with a small pump would be fantastic. So it has less room, it takes up less room. Or if you're pumping at your desk or somewhere at work where there's not a lot of, you don't want a big, you know, footprint to the pump, so that you can use it in smaller areas, the pump, and also the bottle holders.
Yep, I was just about to bring that up.
Yeah, show them.
Yep.
Yeah.
The bottle holders here in the back of the motor, if you're pumping at night or anywhere, these allow you to pop your bottles in there, and you don't have to worry about knocking your bottles over. Like, they are, I'm going to put these in here. I'm like, they are very secure.
Yeah.
Obviously, you're not going to turn it upside down with your milk in it.
Yeah. No,
but just to show you, like, these are
tight.
very snug.
And there's 2 of them. And there's 2 of them because you need 2 of them. So you want to have a place to put both bottles once you're done pumping, to pop them in there nice and securely so that you're not spilling your milk over.
Yeah, I had to go over. I went to get my little tote of Evenflo because I try to keep everything organized.
Ah, very good.
And one thing we sometimes bring up with these, let me see here. Here I say I'm organized, and now they're not going to be in here. Oh my gosh, they're not in. Oh, no, here they are. Okay. So these, the milk storage bag adapters, we don't go over these often. These allow you to, you basically, I'll just do it real quick. You replace the milk storage bottle with the adapter, and it's like a little clamp. And then you have, I'm so organized. I don't want to.
I'm very impressed.
I don't use these. So basically, you would take your bag, and then you can pump directly into it. There's like little grippy teeth on.
You know what? I have an image too. I'm going to pop the image up, Jamie.
Okay.
Because that'll show them even closer up.
Yeah. So there you go. It's got little grippy teeth, so you can pump directly into here. And their bags also are gusseted. And then there's little like affirmations. Like this one says, "One day at a time, mommy." And it's got really good, Ziploc thing up here. Just a very good way to kind of store it. And that way you're not having to dump back and forth for freezing it or putting it in the fridge or whatever.
Yeah, and they work so well. They're nice and snug, but they're really easy to apply and take the bag off. Because that just makes it so much more convenient to be able to pump right into them. They're great bags, really great bags.
Yep.
Awesome. Wow, there you go. So someone's going to win that Hush pump. Make sure that you go to the link that's here in the post and click through after the Q&A. You can do that. And you'll also get the videos that I provided there for you as well. Some of the stuff we talked about today, the 3-stage pumping method, if you haven't watched that and you want to use that to get more milk out with your pump. I also have my burping video there, and then we also review a lot of all the features again in case you want to hear it one more time if you're still figuring out what you're looking for in a pump and choosing, plus the link to get it from insurance.
Which is a big deal.
It's a really big deal. I mean, being able to get a free breast pump through your insurance, take advantage of it. And you can do that anytime during your pregnancy. You do not need to wait till the end. It's one of those things that you can do early on, get it out of the way. Some will send it to you early. Some will wait till you're closer to your due date, but you can still do the application process. And, the first thing, the one thing I would say is if you want to get the Evenflo pump, the best way to do that is to go to the link that I provided there when I message you, okay? Or to go to evenflobreastpump.com. That's another way to do it. Just go to evenflobreastpump.com and you'll be able to put in your insurance and your state, and it'll guide you to the right DME where you can get your pump covered.
Yeah. And I've actually, another great thing about this retail price point, it retails typically around $90, sometimes less, like at Target. And I actually had 2 of my friends recently, or acquaintances also. They're not friends, are different. Technically, but expecting, and they went through their insurance and they ended up with a pump. And I was like, A, why didn't you reach out to me to get an opinion? B, no. So go to Target, and it's expensive. So
you're frozen. What was the last thing you said?
Go to Target. Go to that Target. Go to Target. Get yourself some candles and some picture frames, maybe a throw pillow, and a pump, because the pumps are very, very affordable. Absolutely.
Absolutely. How do you get your pump one through your insurance? Your baby's 3 months old. Great question. You could sometimes moms think that because the baby's already been born and they didn't get their pump, that it's too late. But it's not. I think you can do it up to 6 months or a year even after your baby's born. They will still provide you with a breast pump if you didn't do that before the baby was born. So go to evenflobreastpump.com and you can look it up and figure out where you need to go for that. Oh, yeah.
Awesome.
Joe just posted it for me.
Oh, cool. Thanks.
Yep.
Thanks, Joe.
Yeah.
Let me see here. I'm going to see if we have one last question before we are done for the day. And then I have to go do laundry and all kinds of shenanigans because I'm leaving for Germany in the morning.
You know what I'm doing after this, Jamie? And I have not done this for years.
What?
I'm getting a facial today.
I've never had one.
I haven't had one in years, but I don't know. I just was like, I really need to have a facial. So I'm going to have a facial today. I'm treating myself, and I'm going to have a little spa day and go get a facial.
I have never had a facial in my entire life.
Next time you're here, we're going to go over and do facials together.
Okay.
I'll go check it out for us. I'll go check it out for us today.
Okay, so we didn't get to this. We kind of touched on it, but then we veered off because we're us. I have an 8-week-old. If I want to start a freezer stash, when is the best time of day to add in a pumping session?
The best time of day would be, especially if you are feeding at the breast for all your feedings, like, so how do you pump extra milk while you're breastfeeding exclusively? The best time would be when your milk supply is a little bit higher, which is first thing in the morning. For many moms, they're able to, and I used to do this, as you keep going, you get good at this, where you can usually pump one side while you're feeding the baby. And that's usually, for me and for so many moms, it's the best time to get extra milk.
Instead of just like letting it leak into your pads.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so you usually have the most amount of milk when you first wake up in the morning. Your prolactin levels are highest during the night. You'll notice that your milk supply is larger in the morning, and then it kind of dwindles off towards the afternoon and early evening. So I would try to avoid those times to pump extra milk. But you're not only have more milk, but you're going to have an easier time getting letdowns, because the baby is stimulating that nice oxytocin to cause those milk releases, and it happens in both breasts. So if usually the baby's really effective at stimulating a letdown. So try to take advantage of that. Pump a little while the baby's nursing. I would say just a little bit with each feeding, and try not to do more than one extra feeding in addition to doing all your feedings at the breast. So that means if you're trying to pump 3 or 4 ounce feedings out, like one extra feeding, don't do more than that. And you could divide that among different feeding sessions during the day, but try not to do more than 3 or 4 ounces in addition to what you're feeding at the breast per day. All right, give yourself a little time. If you're going back to work, you want to do that calculation that we've gone over several times already on how to calculate how much you need for your first day back, how much you need to get a little bit of a freezer stash. If you don't know what I'm talking about, my breast pumps and briefcases class has a whole chapter on how much milk do you need, how do you get that out, how do you calculate what you need. It comes for free with the pump. So if you get the Evenflo breast pump, you're going to get that class. If not, you can purchase it. But you really need to give yourself a little bit of time so that you can get that extra feeding per day.
Something I just realized too, and not to make this like sales pitchy commercial, whatever, but you look at the classes that come with this pump. Normally a visit with an IBCLC, even though sometimes now you can get those, covered. An IBCLC, some of the IBCLCs I know are $100 or more an hour easily for like a consult. So the fact that you can get 2 of your classes and this pump for less than $100, like the value in that is pretty substantial.
Absolutely. Oh yeah. Nothing beats it. Nothing beats it. And I think sometimes our psychology is that we think that if it's less money, somehow it's not as good. And I just want to address that, because in some case, sometimes that's the case. In this case, it's just not. It's just not. You're getting like a really great quality pump, and you can see from all the moms here in the chat who have been following us and using the pump for years. They love it, and will actually choose it when compared to a lot of the competitors out there. Yep. When they've tried both, and they're like, my Evenflo gets more milk out.
My sister used all of them, and when she used this pump, she called me and she's like, this is the most comfortable pump I've ever used, and I got more milk out, so we need to figure out something to do with them. So Jennifer, my sister, is actually like the inspiration for this entire Q&A series because of her experience using this pump.
Yep.
There you go. That's a real life story.
Yep. Yes, Kristen, she's saying, I missed about the classes. Is it that to learn how to use the controls, help with letdowns and such? Yes, and so much more. In the breast pumps and briefcases class, I talk about going back to work, working with your employer, working with your childcare, developing a schedule for yourself, knowing how to store milk and how to get enough for that first day back and calculate how much you'll actually need. I talk about so many things about working and pumping. And yes, it is included with the advanced pumps. So every time you get an Evenflo Advanced, you're going to get the breast pumps and briefcases. Simply Breastfeeding is available too. You can go and get that one. I'm actually offering that right now. You can watch it, but both classes come with the pump.
Okay. All right. Well, I think we've been going over an hour. Great Q&A today, I think. For those of you who've been here, thank you for hanging out. Make sure you give some hearts and likes and all those Facebook things you have to do. Sherry, thank you.
Thank you
for hanging out this afternoon. Evenflo, I can't read the comments as I'm doing this, but I've been all over this today. Thank you guys. Love you guys. Love being able to do this. And hopefully I see you soon. I'm trying to think of when the next time I'll see y'all. Maybe LA in November.
Yeah, maybe LA.
So all of you be good. And I'll see you like the same pump time, same pump channel next month.
Exactly.
Next month is October. And then November. Yeah, oh my God. I can't believe this year is almost over.
It's ridiculous. Don't even talk about it.
That's bananas. All right. Well, make sure you guys enter to win this. If you, again, have expectant parents in your life or women who are pumping or nursing, share this with them, send them the link, and we'll see you next month.
Yeah. And if you guys have more questions, Rebecca and I are going to do our Q&A on Wednesday on my page.
Okay, cool.
So if there's any questions here that you didn't get answered today and you want to post them up, just look later on today. I'm going to be posting about our breast sleeping Q&A for this Wednesday, and we'll be happy to answer them for you. So
awesome. And I can't wait to bring you shenanigans from Cologne.
I'll be watching. I'll be watching you, Jamie.
I go straight from Germany. So for those of you just real quick who are still here hanging out. So Kinderjugend is a massive, massive, massive trade show in our industry, and it's in Cologne. So tomorrow morning, I get on a plane and go to Atlanta. I go Atlanta to Dusseldorf. Then I take the train from Dusseldorf to Cologne. In Cologne, I get in like Wednesday morning. Then Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday is trade show. I have to stay up very, 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 very late Sunday because I have a very early flight. I have an 8 a.m. flight out of Dusseldorf. So then I have to take the train back. So I go Dusseldorf, Amsterdam, Detroit. I get into Detroit Monday night, and then I have Gearapalooza Tuesday night in Michigan. So I'm just like, blah, 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 blah.
Oh my God.
It's going to be great.
Oh my God. Yeah, I can't wait to see it all. I'll be watching you from my sofa.
It's going to be fine. All right. Well, thank you all for hanging out. I've got to go get things done before I completely lose my mind. But I already lost my mind with the Mary Poppins Returns trailer this morning. So,
bye, everyone. Have a great day. Bye, Jamie.